there's so many ideas that I want to implement, and you have to say no to a lot of them because they just don't go. And that's hard because you're like, oh, but I want to do it this way, but that's not the vibe, so I can't do that. So,
Has that always been tough for you?
yes.
Really? Saying no to good ideas?
We affectionately called it the clusterfuck because we couldn't decide on an aesthetic. I always wanted a very aesthetic dorm room. I couldn't do it because I couldn't decide. I was like, do you just want to be casual or like really not? And I was just kind of a Frankenstein.
Your dorm room was a Frankenstein's monster?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
We had like retro calendar pictures all over the wall, and we had twinkle lights, but then we had these like fuzzy lanterns, and we had like I had a neon bedspread, neon green bedspread, and then my roommate had like this kind of bohemian pattern pink and blue bedspread. Didn't go at all. We had orange Halloween twinkle lights that we never took down, and then we had like these window stickies that we put up for Valentine's Day, but we didn't realize we left them up for a pretty long time. We took them down, they stained.
Till graduation?
So we just put them back up.
Right.
It was just, yeah, it was a clusterfuck.
Wow. We just swing the mic a little closer.
Yes.
So that was the name of your room?
Affectionately.
Affectionately.
No one else called it that, but we did.
Yeah.
I've used the term many a time, like with fashion. I'm a clusterfuck aesthetic because I can't decide if I want to be edgy or preppy or dramatic or fancy. I just can't. I'm like, well, one day I'll be this and another day I'll be that.
Wow. Wow. So you're clusterfuck core.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
We could make it a thing.
That sounds like a great Instagram channel. Yeah. Do you need a beer, by the way?
Ooh, oh, dude, I would love one. Is it all dark lager though?
Yeah, sure is.
Okay, because I can't really do dark beer.
It's kind of heavy.
Especially right now. All right, I'll just fall asleep on the podcast and then be like, wake up, wake up. Thank you. Hello,
I don't know. I think so, but it is kind of loud.
Maybe I should make a channel one of these days when I have time. I'll make the clusterfuck aesthetic.
That would be kind of awesome.
It'd be really fun because it could be literally anything.
Yeah.
Because it's a cluster.
Is anything that's cool or fun? Yeah.
I feel like that is my Instagram right now. It's like every 2 months I post a picture.
Every 2 months?
I was looking at it. Like you can kind of tell when it's the summer because I post like maybe once a week in the summer. But if it's not the summer, it's like once every month and a half, 2 months. That's kind of embarrassing, but true. I mean, it's not embarrassing. Who cares how much you post, but
The audience that never finds you.
yeah, but when it comes to my personal Instagram, I don't really care. I'm not trying to like be an influencer. When it comes to my theater Instagram, I am actively trying to like be more regular on that one.
Okay. Do you think that is actually an element of success for theater today?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like the national, I don't know if you guys probably don't follow the national National Theater on Instagram. It's in the West End. And also, are we recording right now? Okay, we are. Okay. So okay, I wasn't sure.
Are we ever not?
Because I have been doing this. So I wasn't sure. Okay, cool.
Our phones are always recording us anyway.
That is also true.
Yeah.
Cool. But I don't know if you guys follow the National Theater in the West End, but they do a lot and they do like trailers of their shows and their put up shows and stuff like that. So I think it's a way to intrigue an audience to come see you, especially an audience that's very much online and very much used to streaming. So I know like they do it. I follow some Broadway like actors who just post a lot online about like, this is my day, get ready with me before a 2-day show or something like that, which is very interesting. Yeah. And I think give people a peek inside. And I think that helps. I know that helps them personally, but I think it also just kind of intrigues people enough to go see the theater. Because if you never posted online ever, no one would know you existed. So it's an unfortunate, like, you have to post online. if you're going to get any traffic that don't already know you, like getting new traffic. So.
So are there forums or channels that have been replaced by the internet? Like if you were into theater in the 80s, where did you go to find out what was new in the theater scene? Are there publications that have gone out of print, or is there, I don't know, word of mouth channels that have somewhat evaporated because everyone is attending the internet for this information?
Well, I think like Playbill and Broadway, I don't know if Broadway World had a magazine, but I know that there were publications that you could get that would talk about it. I think it was also just more like classical music, like people just did it more, and so they talked about it more, and so people went and saw it. Like New York has become a destination for like very tourist specific shows, like Wicked or The Lion King or Phantom of the Opera, and it used to be
Spider-Man?
yes, Spider-Man the musical, the Green Day musical, things like that. But it used to be like where New Yorkers would go and they'd go see like weird theater or, a new playwright or experimental theater on off Broadway or whatever. And Broadway used to be a lot more less commercial and a lot more artistic. So, and not to say it isn't artistic now, but in order to be profitable, it has to be pretty commercial to get tourists to come. But even like their bids at that, like the Queen of Versailles recently went up, and I think it lasted like 2 or 3 weeks, and then it closed, just because it was not getting enough people because it was not as recognizable. So
The Queen of Versailles
yeah, it's
just failed as a show.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, a lot of people really a lot of people liked the show, but it didn't attract enough traffic to make it
Do
worth
you
it.
think we've hit an age in which basically there's only, say, what, a dozen, 2 dozen shows that are more or less the shows that everyone has heard of, and so those just get.
I think so.
We basically hit the I mean, have we hit the fast food stage of theater? Right?
I think
Like everyone knows what a like everyone knows what's Wendy's, like the bacon double cheeseburger, right?
Oh, yeah.
You can drive to any city in America and get that, right? Or a McDouble.
Mhm. I mean, yeah, I think those are the shows that make the money. And then there are a lot of shows that are experimental. There are a lot of people like through fringe festivals and things that are doing work that are very personal or experimental or interesting or different. But those aren't the shows that are going to get like the big budgets because you get the money, so you make money. And, you know, so that they're only really going to, investors are only really going to invest in shows that they know, okay, this is going to make money. Like The Lion King will make money. Wicked will make money. So it kind of gets a little bit like you're saying, Jonathan, like fast food style theater because you just expect, oh, this is comfortable. People are going to like it. And all tourists want to go see these shows. So we're going to keep these shows up. So, but I think it's also an
So
audience.
do you think back, again, I'm just going to say the 80s or early 90s, do you think there was theater that was being performed for a larger audience, which now that same type of theater has been relegated to essentially dedicated hobbyists?
Mhm.
Right. Like, so they were mid.
Insiders.
Okay. They say the same thing about the movie industry, right? That you used to have mid-tier, mid-budget shows. Like Beirut was a throwback to this. Like John Hamm, Rosamund Pike. It was a throwback to these movies. So, another example from this era might be The Devil's Own with Brad Pitt and Harrison Ford. Like, not summer blockbusters by any means, not Independence Day, but neither were they art films, right? They were mid-budgets.
Yeah.
And they could make some amount of money. They also didn't have these unbelievably loud action set pieces, which meant that they didn't have unbelievable budgets. So they didn't take a lot to be profitable. And basically, the movie industry has basically split into big tentpole blockbusters or essentially indie films.
Yeah.
With the streamers are interesting because they seem to be producing movies just to be on their channels. Excuse
Yeah.
me. I don't know if I would call those indie films exactly. Maybe just streaming dreck.
They're not all bad.
They're not all bad,
Nah, there's some really
but
good
there's a
ones.
lot of dreck on streaming.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Gotta fill those libraries. Yeah, probably. I mean, I think in the 80s, I mean, I think right now, if you go and see like, I'm trying to think of a offbeat show. Okay, like, okay, well, might not be a great example because of the three people who are heading it right now, but on Broadway right now, there's a revival of this play or the musical Chess, which was written by, funnily enough, the two men from ABBA, or one of the men from ABBA.
Hmm.
They wrote the lyrics and the music, and it's about chess players. It's about an American, I believe, and a Russian, and they're playing together, and there's drama and all of this. But it wasn't super successful the first time it went out because it just couldn't grasp enough people to be interested in it. But now in the revival, like it's being headlined by three well-known, very famous theater actors. Aaron Tveit is one of them. And now it's huge. Everyone's going to see it. Everyone wants to see it. Like, but Instagram has helped with this because they put clips of these extremely difficult songs that all these people are singing, and it's like, look at this amazing thing. You should come see it. So it's having like a new moment because of Instagram, because of these people. So I think it just depends on who you have in your show and the timing. The timing really matters. But I think right now, there's far less people willing to take a chance because tickets are so expensive. So like, you're not going to like maybe go see something that's going to be horrible for like $50 to $60. Or if you go to New York, $120. You're going to try to play it safe so you know I'm going to I'm going to like spending that much money. Like if I spend $120, I want to know that I'm going to like the show. I don't want to spend $120 and be like, that was weird. I don't like that show. Like that was ridiculous or whatever, or that was really disturbing or whatnot. But I'm
You had spent $120 to
but
see Everything Everywhere All at Once or Dave Made a Maze. You'd say, I want my money back.
I probably would.
Where's my money? You took it all.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. I think that's why honestly it's gotten so expensive. So you don't want to risk it. Personally, I like to try new things and I'm totally okay with the show being really bizarre. But I'm also in theater, so I think that's a little bit different.
Right. You don't want to take your aunt who flew into the city for a weekend and take her to something where she just says, "What?
What did we just see?
What the hell?
Yeah. I
What
think
was that?"
awesome. Like that's why festivals are really fun. That's why you go to like new play festivals and you can see all this crazy stuff because it's usually not as expensive as if you're going to like Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
But Broadway's also refined. The shows on Broadway have been refined and they've been workshopped and they've had a couple previews and like other cities like San Francisco and other places. So they've gotten a lot of feedback. So by the time you're on Broadway, you're like streamlined, you know what works, you know what people like. So you kind of have an idea of like, okay, this will be successful. There's little stages to get up there. So to be fair, when you're choosing a show on Broadway, you're most likely going to enjoy it. Because if it's there, people have already enjoyed it. So it's kind of like a way to be like, no matter what you do, you're probably going to like it. And you just never know with musicals because it's not like a movie. There's no trailers. So you just kind of have to listen to the music. And you're like, oh, if you vibe with the music, then you kind of have to take a chance. Like, not last year, but the year before, I've listened to Hadestown like so many times. Never seen it. I've seen clips from National Theater on Instagram. Saw clips from it. I was like, that looks really cool. They do cool set stuff. I was like, I really want to see it. But I don't actually know if I'll like it, but I think based on the music, I'd like it. So you're always taking a chance with theater because the beautiful thing of a live theater is that no matter what you see, you're seeing a very different show than anyone else. So someone else could see it on a Friday and be like, that was great. You see it on a Sunday and something goes wrong or whatever, and it could suck. Not suck, but just be very, very different. Maybe the energy is off, and so you're like, that wasn't great. But they're like, what do you mean? It was amazing. And it's like you see different shows every single time. So it's also hard to recommend it sometimes because you're like, it just depends. So you have to be okay with that. You got to
The audience is basically an ingredient in the show. So your Friday night evening audience is going to be a different ingredient than your Sunday afternoon audience.
Dude, matinees are so hard. So hard.
Why do they have them?
Well, because they're usually cheaper and typically it's like families and older people will come to those. And like people traveling in town that can't make it to an 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. show, they'll do 2 p.m.s. And they are convenient. I think we went to a matinee of Moulin Rouge on Broadway in 2021 because it was cheaper. They're significantly cheaper than the 7 p.m. shows. So,
But you're getting a different product.
I mean, the nice thing about Broadway is it's like since it's the mecca of musical theater, you're never really gonna have a bad show, I don't think. Because everyone is immense professionals. They're so amazing. So even if they're having a bad day, they're gonna make sure you don't have a bad day. I was kind of speaking in general theater,
Okay.
but like no, Broadway's amazing. This 2 p.m. show, like it helped that there was absolutely no outer light in the theater, so it was so dark. So you felt like it was nighttime anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so the way old like New York theaters are like we felt like we were like gonna fall into the stage because it was so like narrow and tall and you could see everything even from the nosebleed seats that we were in. You could see everything, you could hear everything. It was amazing. And we walked in, I was like, what time is it? It's like, oh, it's only 5? This what? Like they transported you. So like when you're in a professional sphere, it's gonna be very different. They're gonna treat it very, very differently. But but still, you're gonna see a different show than the person who goes on a different day. But like we saw, so there was Aaron Tveit was playing the main guy in Moulin Rouge, and then the girl who opened with him, or who was, oh, what's her name? It's not Christine. I can't remember her name. My musical theater card is gonna get taken away. I can't remember her name right now, but it was her understudy that was performing that matinee that we saw it. So we get there and we pick up our program and there's like an insert and my friend was like, "Oh no, that means that someone's missing." And I was like, if Aaron Tveit is missing, I'm gonna be so mad because that's like we went to go see him perform. And it wasn't him, but it happened to be the understudy. So and she's not performing all the time. So it just depends on that on the day. Because you could get the understudy and she was amazing. And lots of things can happen. So it's just like it's cool that way that it's never the same exact show every single time.
Has an understudy ever hit it out of the park so hard that they replaced the headliner?
I don't know.
Has this happened?
I mean, the understudies are just as talented, most likely, as the main person. But I don't know if they've like replaced the person that like has switched out a lot anyway. But I don't know if one has been like, I'm just so much better. Because typically if they're that much better, they would have been cast. If they're so extraordinary, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really do a lot of musical theater. So this is all just from audience perspective and just like being passionate about theater and musical theater. But I don't typically perform musical theater, so I don't know. Just want to throw that caveat.
Wondering what makes a good actor? Because I've kind of been trying to think of like, well, there's so many different types of people, and like old people, young people, experienced, not experienced, all walks of life, and they all kind of have something that compels us, and I don't know what it is.
That's a really good question.
Because is it just like
And some people can't act, right? Like
yeah,
you can have people from all walks of life who cannot act, and you
Mhm.
can have people from all walks of life who really can.
Mhm.
yeah. Like, is it just they understand what it means to be the person that they're portraying? Because I was curious. I was watching some auditions for Robert Downey Jr. And apparently there's this one where he kind of half knew the script, but he just ad-libbed it for the audition screen, and the people there were just in shock at how good he was. And
For what show?
I forget which one it was.
He's an
Kiss Kiss Bang
amazing,
Bang.
amazing actor.
I loved Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
I've not seen
That was a great movie.
I think it's
Might have
I think it's a good actor, I think, is comfortable with just entering into whatever character and whatever that character would do. They don't judge the character. They just do what they think the character would do. Because if you're constantly judging your character, then you're looking at it from the outside perspective. But I think a good actor is capable of putting aside their personal perspective to walk in someone else's shoes. Typically, actors are also pretty empathetic and can understand where vastly different people are coming from. But I think it's a lack of taking yourself too seriously. Because when you're in an audition and there's three people watching you and you're like up there, like in a cafeteria room, and it's like fluorescent light, and you have to be like super emotional and whip it out. And like, I think what I have heard is that if you don't grab their attention in 10 seconds, you haven't made the audition. As you have a very short amount of time to win that audition. So you can't take yourself too seriously. And I think the actors like Robert Downey Jr. and I think Zendaya and like a lot of these actors don't take themselves too seriously, but take the work seriously. So they take like their character seriously, they take the script seriously, but they don't take themselves too seriously. And they have an empathy. I think suffering helps a lot to be an actor because you kind of understand, and a lot of actors have suffered. And so you kind of understand, okay, if I'm playing this character, I can draw from my own experiences. I can draw from this. So I think expansive experiences, not taking yourself too seriously and being empathetic, I think make a very good actor.
Yeah, that's good. It kind of tracks with what I saw Ryan Gosling talk about, because he was saying that in a lot of auditions, he's like, you have to go in and you realize there's a cooler cowboy next to you, and he's probably gonna get it. So he said he just went into auditions to practice, like
Yeah.
just like not even worry about getting the part. He would just try to do his best
Mm-hmm.
to get the practice in.
A lot of people use auditions as like a mini performance. And they're like, well, I'm just going to perform the way I think this character would do it, the way I believe this would happen. And if they pick me, that's great. But if not, I'm at least, if I respect my performance, then I've done a good audition, even if I don't get chosen. And a lot of actors, I think, find a lot of peace in that because 9 times out of 10, you won't be the one chosen. So you have to find a way to, and sometimes there will be times where you do mess up the audition. You're like, oh, I just couldn't remember that line or something like that. But if you do a decent audition, but you just don't get chosen, you got to find a way to find peace in that. And I think a lot of people,
Peace with the rejection.
yeah, and just find like it's practice, it's a performance. I'm just going to have fun with it. And usually, when actors can just chill out and do that, they do much, much better in auditions because they're not like
It's
zipped up.
amazing how much rigidity hurts in life. Like so many things, like having a tense mind or just being tense physically can really just mess things up. It's really interesting. I
Mm-hmm.
don't really understand, like, maybe because it's all fear based. Maybe that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not supposed to operate out of fear, maybe.
Well, you can't like, especially in acting, and I think in life in general, if you're going from rigidity, you can't react or respond naturally.
Mhm.
You're kind of like just entering into default or rote responses, reactions, duties, whatever. Because a fluidity allows you to respond to all sorts of different stimuli and all sorts of different things, external or internal. But if you're rigid or set so much in your frame of mind that you can't possibly think of anything else or anything beyond your frame, then you're not going to be very pleasant. A, you're not going to be a pleasant person to be around, but also B, you're not really going to be able to roll with the punches of life in general.
Totally.
So,
You close yourself off to the influence of the muse, perhaps.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have it, but if you can't, if you're too scared or too worried, if you're too worried about what other people think, then it's not going to read as well or at all.
Hmm.
So you kind of have to not care what people.
You almost have right. You almost have to not care.
That's so
In the
hard.
arts, in the arts, you just have to have this ability to both be focused, attentive, and complete in your work while at the same time detached from the results. And that's probably a pretty hard sweet spot to reach, right?
Yeah.
In which you've put in the work, you've put in the time, you've put in the attention, you've put in the energy, right? It's not that you don't care, but you are detached from the outcome. I think those are two, that's a blessed state, but I think it's hard to reach.
Well, I think that's why a lot of actors don't read their own reviews, or they try not to read their own reviews, because of that. Like, a reviewer might not like you, but that doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. That's what in any sort of creative endeavor, I think, but especially in acting, you gotta be willing, you gotta like have confidence in your own choices, and you would be like, this person might not have done it this way, but I'm doing it this way, and I think it's a reasonable way to do it. So sue me. I'm going to do it this way because that's what I think. And that's the beauty of different actors is they will all interpret the same character differently. So it just depends. And I think you have to have confidence in your choices as an actor.
Do you think that's one of the beauties of theater is that you get a wide variety of people interpreting the same character, as opposed to movies where, yeah, they do remakes. Yes, they sometimes have recasts, but no one's going to look at Mad Men and like John Hamm
Is
did,
Draper.
right, did Don Draper, and that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas in theater, you can have multiple iterations of the same character
Yeah.
trying to partake in the same work of art in a certain sense, but really making it their own in others.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because Willie Loman from Death of a Salesman has been one of the kind of iconic male roles for older men to play. So you get to a point where you're like, oh, now I'm in the realm of I can play King Lear and I can play Willie Loman and I can play like all these other kind of like iconic older guy roles. And like variety of people have played those roles. Like Ian Holm played King Lear, which is going to be very different from like Laurence Olivier playing King Lear, or Lee J. Cobb played Willie Loman. I think he is the movie version of Death of a Salesman, but he also played it on Broadway. So Lee J. Cobb has played Death of a Salesman, or Willie Loman in Death of a Salesman. And then you have all these other actors who have already also interpreted it. I've also heard, fun fact, that Willie Loman's probably the hardest role to play for 8 shows a week on Broadway. That many men who start that don't make it like the whole way through the run. They usually like switch out because it is such a demanding role and it takes so much physical energy and effort that to do a 2-show day of that, to do that show 8 shows a week is like an incredible feat. So it just wears people out. But yeah, you can have 4 or 5 different actors play the same role. Like Judi Dench plays Lady Macbeth. very different than like Marion Cotillard, who played in the movie version of Macbeth. Like drastically different actors, same character. So I think that's a really cool thing. It's also a generational thing. Like you grow into those characters. Like you can't just start out playing like Brutus or something, but you can grow into Brutus, grow into that realm of character. So I think that's cool too. Because like you have the ingenues and the heroes that you can play when you're young, but you also have the middle-aged characters and you have the older characters. And there's kind of a gravitas when you graduate to like playing Prospero or when you graduate to playing like um Willie Loman or something like that. There's just a beauty, a cool like stepping into other people's shoes that you don't get in film.
Mm.
Unless you're doing Shakespeare. They do a lot of remakes of Shakespeare. But unless you're doing Shakespeare, like you're not going to play the same character that like Jeff Bridges plays. Like he played Ice in The Iceman Cometh when he was younger. He played the young man in The Iceman Cometh, and then like Austin Butler played that role, a couple years ago when he was on Broadway. And so it's crazy that Jeff Bridges, who's a very different character, personality, and everything to Austin Butler, he's playing that character now, and Jeff Bridges is playing different characters. And it's really cool that you can do that and see that. So I love that part of.
So theater has this way in which the show lives a little bit above and beyond any particular iteration. And so in a way that maybe isn't less true is less true of movies, you sort of serve the show, you sort of serve the play. And the play in a way has this authority over you that you try to serve it well
Mhm.
for the time that you are in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's a reverence for different shows when you're in theater that I don't know, haven't really done film, but I don't think is as apparent in film because it's a one and done most of the time. But like if you're doing Antigone, because the West End did a remake, an adaptation of Antigone. But even if you're adapting it, you're changing it, you're updating it or whatever, it's still the same show that they were performing in ancient Greece. So when you have that kind of arc, when there's that kind of history to a show, like, yeah, I think the show does have more power over you and you should have more respect for the material and for what you're saying because this is a show that has lasted a long time. So there's a reason for that. So you need to have the respect for the show and the respect for the characters to, give it your all. And that doesn't mean you can't update it or change it or do different things with it. You can't interpret it differently, which is really cool when you see the same show interpreted crazy. Like I directed The Crucible in college, and at the time, the West End was doing The Crucible, and then Broadway had just ended The Crucible, a run of The Crucible, and those two shows so different. I looked at their scene design for inspiration, and the one on Broadway was like dystopian. It looked like a dystopian schoolroom is where most of things took place. There was like papers everywhere and there was desk turnover. Everyone was kind of in like gray, like just
Like
kind of
drapery almost.
like almost like prison outfits, just very plain outfits. And they were all barefoot. And it was very like, whoa. But then you had where Gerard Butler was playing Proctor. It was more or less time period, but there's a little like modernity in there, which is cool. And it was playing to his Gerard Butler's raw. He's huge, and so they're kind of playing to him and to his vibe. So there was like most of the people were in black, but not everyone was dressed in black, and so it was more visceral than the dystopian one. There was a lot more like saturation of color than lack of color, but it's the same show. They're doing the same lines as each other, but they're vastly different. One's more, I guess the description would be one's more dystopian, one's more animalistic in the way that they portrayed it. And so you can have the same show be vastly different. And the way you interpret it, the way you dress it up can change how people view it. And you can highlight different aspects of the show because like when we did it, we did the set was a gallows. It was just a raised stage with the simple like posts and beam, and it was representing the gallows and everything was played on it. There was sometimes we played it on the bottom in front of it, but it was kind of to be like you're playing in death right here. The whole show's on the gallows that Proctor will end up swinging from eventually. So it was kind of this idea that like death is omnipresent in this show, and it was a pretty simple. Otherwise, we did it period, but that was pretty simple, and I wanted that to be present in the show. So yeah, you can do it many different ways, which is so cool that you can do it many different. It makes every show not boring. Like you can do the same Shakespeare show, you can do it the same exact way as everybody else, but it's a lot more entertaining if you do something different. If you do a Greek tragedy slightly different, or yeah, like if you update something or you change something or you look at it differently, and everyone's going to interpret it differently. So that's the cool thing about it. You look alarmed.
Whoa. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah, you can have so many iterations of the same show, which is really like okay, like the bird or not the birdcage, The Doll's House by Ibsen. Have you guys read that?
Nope.
Oh, it's
Good.
so good. I love Ibsen. He's amazing. He's really good. Ghosts. I've never read a play and been like, oh my gosh, like in the middle of it. Like his twist for that particular show, I was like floored. I was taken aback. I was like, and then I read it, I was like, I should have seen this coming, but I didn't because he's very good at like making you look one way while he does something in the corner. And you're like, oh man, he got me. But A Doll's House can be played period in like Norwegian, like 1800s style, or like someone did it more artsy and they did the whole set kind of like a bird cage. So it was very obvious that this woman who in the show feels contained and stifled and micromanaged by her husband. So, and it just kind of feels like she needs to be a pretty doll instead of a person. And so the scenic director or the scenic designer created a bird cage to kind of just like emphasize that point and kind of explore that visually, which you're getting with the acting and the dialogue, but that you can kind of see play out. And it's interesting. You can be really obvious, or you can be more subtle, or it's very cool. It's very, very cool. But
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're developing your own play now?
I am.
Tell us more about that.
I am doing that. Yeah, it's a one-woman show. Well, it was actually a 5-person show that turned into a one-woman show. And
She killed them all?
no. It was just schedules didn't work out, so they had to be a one-woman show. But that has been a very different challenge to be a one person creating imaginary world for the audience. But it's been really fun. It's going to perform or debut. It's an original script that is going to debut at the Denver Fringe Festival this June. So if your listeners are in the Denver area,
June 5th and 6th?
or June 7th,
June 6th and 7th.
look for Detente, which is the name of the show, and it's a one-woman confessional style show about love and what we do, the choices we make and the regrets we have when it comes to love, and how to listen to your head and your heart and get them to agree. That's the
How to listen to your head and to your heart and get them to be in harmony, agree,
integrate.
integrate,
Yeah.
which is to say how to act in harmony with both your head and your heart.
Yeah, it's how to make a choice your own, I think would be the best way to describe it, because the show itself is about this one woman who holds this principle so dear, just rationally, she's like, I'm doing this principle, but then doesn't act like she's following this principle. And so the whole show is her trying to figure out how to make the choice to choose this principle her own. So not just rationally do it, but actively do it. And so she's struggling with how to integrate something into her life and make it her own instead of saying one thing and doing another. So it's that whole contrast of I'm saying one thing, but you see me doing this other thing and it doesn't work. And that creates a cognitive dissonance in our lives that make us unhappy. And so it's trying to figure out how to make a decision your own and a choice your own. That's kind of controversial. And this is a personal play about the 4 years right after college where I was trying to figure out how to make my faith my own, and specifically how to make the choice of abstinence in life, like choosing to abstain until marriage, my own, as opposed to just this thing that I said I did, like this duty that I felt like, well, that's what the church says, so that's what I'm going to do. And then actually learning how to actively live it out instead of just saying it, just being like, no, this is how I behave and it matches with what I'm saying. But it took a lot to get there. So that's what the show is about. It's about how to make a decision your own and to integrate it into your life.
As in, you may have made a decision and have been living out that decision, but it hasn't been your own decision in some sense.
Mm-hmm. Like it's been external, like it's a rule or it's a precept that you've just said, I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until people started pushing back on it and like, why? Why are you doing that? That's weird. That seems impossible. That you kind of have to look at it and you're like, okay, do I think it's weird? Okay, maybe I don't think it's weird, but why do they think it's weird? And you just have to kind of think about it more. And I was forced to really think about it more. And then I was forced to actually do something about it. Like, because it's good to have people push you on it, because then you have to actually figure things out. And I had this one guy who I didn't appreciate at the time, but he was like, you're saying this, but then you're out here partying with us. I don't see how that works. Like, how does this go together? And I was like, I hate you for saying that, but you're not wrong. Like, what I'm doing and then what I'm saying I'm doing, like, they didn't go together.
They don't belong
They
to
were
the same brand.
contradicting each other.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it was just kind of like, oh, you're right. Huh. And that, it really made me think about it. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. That's not right. But it took 4 years to
Mm-hmm.
get to that integrated, like, and at peace with it. Because there's a difference between I'm making this decision, and then there's the whole in between of make it your own. And then once you've made it your own and you feel confident in your decision, then there's the rest of your life living it out. And you kind of have to consciously choose it. But it's easier to choose because you've made it your own, but you still have to consciously choose it. And you still have to kind of adjust your behavior to match what you're saying that you believe in. And it's a good, I find it was very helpful for me to go through that. It was a long, emotional, raw process, but it was really good. Because now if someone asks me, I'm super comfortable with anyone asking me about it, because I'm like, I feel very rooted in this decision. And nothing you say is going to shake me in that decision. And I can't say that about a lot of things, but I can say about that,
Mm,
that because I went through this 4 year, like up and down situation, I know for a fact how I feel about this.
right. This is something I've carried through the desert.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if my hope is that with this show, which is basically taking those 4 years of my life and distilling it into about 45 minutes of this emotional roller coaster and the hard, the challenges and the obstacles. Because I think everyone thinks that if you are abstaining, that it's either you're a prude, you're afraid, you're repressed, or you have no sexual desires. So it's easy. And it's like, well, it's most of the time it's none of those things. And sometimes it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of everything. Like maybe you are a little bit afraid. So it's easy to say, no, I'm waiting or whatever.
Hmm.
But I think for the most part, the people who choose it are, they're going through the same things everyone else is going through, and it's hard, and sometimes they don't want to do it, but they continue to choose it. They're like, oh, I don't want to do this today, but I've chosen it, and this is what I'm going to do. And, it can be really hard, and that's not something you see in TV or you see on stage. So I wanted to kind of express like, this is a subset of people who you don't ever really hear their
They're not
side.
incels. They're not weirdos,
They're just living their life, but they've just
but they
chosen
are marching to a
very different drum.
marching to a different cadence.
And so I wanted to show to people who don't live that life, like, look, this is hard. And sometimes we don't like it. And sometimes we chafe at it. But there's a reason we've chosen it. And I wanted to show to the people who have chosen it that I see you.
Mm.
And yeah, kind of like an encouragement. Like, it is really hard. But if you make it your own and you really live it out and you live it out truly, you can be very happy with it. So I wanted to show those two things and speak to those two audiences and show.
How long did it take you to write it?
Well, the first final draft, it took about from October to February of 20. So it was October 23 to February. No, it was October 24 to February 25. And then the second final draft, which is the one woman show, it took me about 3 weeks to
Basically, boil it down.
boil it down, get rid of all the characters.
Eliminate the need for other people on the stage with you.
Yeah. So that took about 3 weeks. But this is all from experiences that I had been thinking about. I wanted to figure out a way to do it. So I was like, oh, I thought about a short story. I thought about a couple different ways to kind of express what I felt like I wanted to say. But it wasn't until someone was like, why don't you write a show? And I was like, why don't I write a show? That I was like, oh, okay, I think this would be a good first show.
Is this the first show you've written?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's really cool and really terrifying.
Sure.
It's been really fun though, because I've had readers, and so it's crazy when you write something and you've been working on it for like a couple hours, and you're just like, oh, I hope this is convincing. I hope people relate to it. And then you take it to your reader and they're reading it and they're like, dude, I felt the same. And you're like, oh, okay. And I had a couple moments where a couple of my readers said that. They're like, oh man, I felt that. Like, oh, I've been there. I was like, okay, good. I'm hitting on something that is not just an individualized experience, but it's something that other people have read. And I had some readers who abided by this lifestyle and some readers who didn't. And so it was good to get both of their opinions about it. Like, could someone who doesn't follow this lifestyle really actually enjoy the show? And I think they can.
What did they say about it?
They liked it. They thought it was interesting, and they appreciated like learning more about that choice. And
Did you ever have anyone say to you, oh my goodness, I didn't even think this is a choice that can be made, but golly, I sort of wish I had had it as an option? No, it's not as an option. Has anyone ever said to you something like, goodness, I simply assumed that people who followed this lifestyle of abstinence were freaks, and I didn't it's not that I didn't want to be a freak. I didn't see myself as a freak.
Mhm.
So I didn't, but now I see, oh, there's more people in this category than just freaks. Maybe I wouldn't have minded this so much.
No, I've never had anyone describe it
I
as
guess that was a
freak.
pretty specific conversation, huh?
Yes.
That I just imagined
A personal experience,
that I just
Jonathan.
imagined out of my head.
No, most of the time people are just like bemused and befuddled and have no idea what to say.
Huh.
I actually had one, I mean, a lot of the, and then once they recover from that initial like shock, because if you tell someone, I've never had sex and I've never seen porn, they're like, what? Like their eyes bulge out of their heads. They're just like, what are you talking? Like, they're like, have you lived? How have you gotten to like your age and you haven't? It was like lucky, being lucky is one of the main things. But usually after they recover from that, they just think it's kind of old fashioned and they're just kind of like, well, I actually had a guy tell me like, well, that's old fashioned and that's impossible to do nowadays. And I was like,
But it wasn't.
doing it, so it's not impossible. And I think that's just an idea. Like, oh, that's what they did in the old days, but that's not what we do today. And so when you finally meet someone who does it, it's like, I think it's just very weird because they're just like, oh, I didn't know people still did that. So I've never had really bad experiences.
Be like meeting a pilgrim.
I don't think it's that bad. But I think most of the time when I tell people or when I've had conversations like that, uh, they've been receptive, maybe a bit confused, but receptive and at least somewhat understanding of it. If but they always make it clear that they wouldn't have chosen that path.
Interesting.
But it's like, except one person who told me that he had done that for a while, but then he got introduced to things in college, and then he was like, yeah, and I would never go back. I'm like, okay, well, great.
Say so.
So it's, yeah, it's interesting, but I've never really had someone be like angry at me or like, oh, like call me a freak or anything like that.
Yeah.
Even though I've called myself that many a time, but
I think
not.
it'd be akin to meeting someone from a different continent, not just a different country, right?
Mhm.
Like, oh, you're from Zimbabwe. If someone says I'm from Zimbabwe, you have to ask a follow-up, right? Yeah, you got to ask a little bit more about it. I think that's somewhat akin to that.
Yeah.
This is strange enough that I don't see you as an alien, but you certainly kind of different.
Yeah, it's very different. They're kind of like, well, wait a minute. I think a lot of the time people think you're joking and you're lying. I think that's the first kind of, because it's usually like the first question is, really? Really? You're like, yeah, I wouldn't just say that. Like, it's not like a normal thing. Like, if I was gonna lie about something, like, why would I choose that to lie about? So it was, yeah, it's just an interesting way that people respond sometimes.
Well, and I think you're really hitting on something because I've been thinking about this a lot, especially with people that I think want to think of themselves as good people. So I think it's starting out of pride, essentially, is like you wanting this for yourself. Um, for probably another deeper reason that they don't know. But like people, I think, will go to mass and pray the rosary and say all their prayers because they want to see themselves as a good person. And then you realize, like, it's not really their own. It's not like they're actually enjoying talking to God. They're just like thumbing the beads saying, well, if I do this enough, I'm going to be saved.
Yeah.
And so their idea is not having punishment is greater than this, and God can give me that.
Mm-hmm.
So now God is a servant towards this end that you put in your mind.
Yeah.
And I think it works exactly with like what you're talking about because it's like it's probably like the number one thing Catholics encounter is like, well, if I follow the church, that means I can't have this pleasure.
Yeah.
And then in reality, though, the most sexually fulfilled people in life are married people. And so it's like, well, no, actually, God wants to give it to you more. So he's actually leading you the best way towards this good thing. He just doesn't want you to take the wrong path. Not actually find love, because it's like, what does it mean to love somebody? Well, that's like the question.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, well, that's kind of like part of life's journey is understanding what that question means. And in marriage, that means so much more. But like what you're saying, if it's not your own and you're just following this rule, you'll start to resent the person that gave you that rule.
Oh, absolutely.
So you're like, you start shaking, like the person just starts shaking their fist towards God and they're like, why'd you do this to me?
Yeah.
And they don't actually see that the very thing they hate isn't God, it's the passion and desire that they have,
Hmm.
that they want to fulfill, but they don't know how. But if you come to peace towards their decision and you see the good, then you're like, oh, this makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're saying, Tom, they have to see it as their decision,
Their decision.
right?
And it's almost like,
Not a mandate from some authority.
exactly. It's like what you're saying, like, if you're rigid, you can't listen to the muse. It's like when you see art, for instance, like, I'm trying to think of a good example. It's kind of, actually, porn might be a great example. It's like, porn is like you're trying to take something from someone to satisfy yourself, but art elevates you to something better. And you can't actually plan out what art's going to do to you. Like if you go
No.
to the Louvre, you can't be like, I want this feeling and this feeling and this feeling.
Yeah.
And now you're trying to contrive this extra good to please whatever this thing is inside of you that you don't even understand.
Hmm.
And so now you're kind of trying to contort the world towards this one end instead of allowing yourself to experience something new.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. Like a lot of writers will say, like, oh, my characters just took over. They just went their separate ways and they just did their own thing in the story. And you're like, how does that happen? Like, they're your characters. But there's this sense of art becomes its own thing. So like an author can hope to like convey one thing. Like I hope that when people come see the show, if they're from either wherever they're from, whatever state in life they're from, I hope that they'll get like this appreciation for a lifestyle they may not know about, or that they get comfort and encouragement to keep going, to keep following their path. But you never know, like someone who might be in the middle of those two, like undecided, they might interpret it differently, or they might take different episodes like to heart in a different way than I intended them to have it. But the way that they perceived it, the way that they heard the lines, whatever, they're seeing in a very different way. So yeah, you just never know what art's going to do to you. And sometimes most like quote unquote mundane art that you're like, oh, this won't move me, like moves you the most. And you're
Yeah.
like,
Wait,
oh,
wait,
I'm
wait.
crying.
Say that again.
Sometimes art that you overlook that you think is like too simple or too common, like it's everywhere. How could that move me at the right?
Like another Monet water lily hanging on someone's bathroom wall.
Yeah, like that's a pretty good example. Like
Mhm.
if you're at the right time, and like Tom was saying, if you're open enough, and honestly, if you're emotionally raw enough, emotionally vulnerable, I should say, then sometimes art that you might have overlooked otherwise does hit you really, really, really intensely. And you're like, man, I've never felt that way before when I've listened to this song. Like I find it with music a lot. I'm not a super musical person, but every now and then I'll listen to the same song I've listened to hundreds of times. And in a certain state of life, mood, situation, it just hits me so differently. At least, like, maybe it's a power ballad. I'm like, yes, let's go. Like, it's a hype song that I've never heard it as a hype song before. Or it's something that, like, makes you cry as you're driving and you're like, I've never cried at this song before. Like, what about it is hitting me different? And I think it really just depends. And I think sometimes art that you don't expect. Because sometimes when you go in with, like, I'm going to be moved by this, like you're saying, you really want to be moved, but you're just not because you're trying to be moved. You're not letting it move you.
Yeah. It's really I've been thinking about this idea a lot of like putting your own effort in to something and how do you do that the proper way?
Mm.
Because I think this is actually what the conscience is for. One of the
Mm.
things. Because I think your conscience tells you, hey, look at that, do that thing. And when you ignore it, you feel bad. But then there's this other mode where you're like, I'm gonna like this is the best example I've tried to come up with it. I'm gonna squeeze myself into doing this one thing because I really want the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, well, are you playing tennis because you enjoy playing the game, or are you playing tennis because you like the accolades of what people tell you you're good at something?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that a lot of times when we think we're playing or doing something, in reality, we're trying to get this one end,
Mm-hmm.
and we get frustrated because we're not getting there because we can't get there in the mode we're in. So then we start beating ourselves up and trying to get more and more from us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like the tyrannical force in us
The
that,
tyrannical self.
yeah.
I think that's true. Because, like, I took a break from acting, from theater for like the 4 years that this show's about. That was when I wasn't doing theater. I like actively didn't do it because I ran into that problem of like, I realized that I was living my life in the theater and not in life because
Mm.
I was using theater to have big emotions and to fall in love and to, be angry with people and blah, 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 blah. But I wasn't actually like trying to fall in love or experience big emotions in my life. Everything was on the stage. And I was like, I want to have big experiences. I want to love really, really intensely and then be like broken up with really intensely. And obviously, when you're not in that situation, you're like, it's so romantic. But then when you're in that situation, you're like, this sucks. It's the worst. But so I took a break for 4 years and I moved abroad, and that's primarily where all of these experiences come from. Like the whole reason I'm writing this show is because I took those 4 years to basically live and actually try to live and mess up a lot and but by living coming to understand like okay, this is how I actually want to live in the world and not
Mm.
just move through the world to be on stage and live on stage. And I think that, yeah, trying to experience all of life through the stage was just like, I really want these experiences, these emotions, these things, but it's not the way to go about them. You go and experience those emotions, those things, and then you can relay that information. You can't try to use it as, like you were saying, like just, I want this outcome, so I'm going to do it. I'm just going to make myself do it. And then when I came back to it, I was a lot more settled and a lot more balanced in I do want to do theater, I do want to pursue theater, but I'm also going to have a life. I'm also going to have a community beyond theater. I'm also going to be out in the real world and experience those things too so I can more naturally relay them to people.
Is this something that's referenced in Birdman with Edward Norton's character?
So I don't
What?
know. Potentially.
Movie night!
Could be like Fight Club though.
Could be like Fight Club.
Also not seen that, but I know how it ends. So
You know the twist?
okay, if I haven't seen Fight Club, then it's my fault. Like, yes, I know the twist.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, because I
I think
feel
it's
like
also.
okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I think honestly, that movie is talking about the three options you have. You have the one option of you just follow all the rules given to you, and in the movie, essentially, he gets a nice furniture and a cool apartment and a good life.
Hmm.
Good. And then it's the complete anarchist. That's his second personality of just like nothing matters. I can do whatever. I don't even have to think about it.
Mhm.
And he literally doesn't. That's like the crazy thing. Is like this whole imagination of his mind took over. And at the end, he realizes that, oh, the path forward isn't doing rules to get stuff or living in anarchy because you don't want to follow rules. It's like you choosing to do good when you see it.
Mhm.
And that's like I think that's like the straight and narrow path. Like,
The yin and yang.
mhm.
Or it's like the road between yin and yang.
Right. The border between yin and
Yeah.
yang.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's true.
Right.
But everyone's journey to that discovery of like, oh, this is what it means, like, is very different.
Yeah.
But you have to be self-aware enough to notice it. So that's also part of it too. Like you have to be kind of in a headspace where you're looking for it to find it. I don't know if it'll just pop up. Maybe like some people have
Yeah.
pretty dramatic examples actually, but I don't know.
Well, I feel like I've been thinking, like, trying to think of examples with people that I know that I think walk the straight and narrow. And what I've come to discover is that they're very peaceful
Mhm.
people, peaceful and playful, and very humorous. And the people that seem to be caught in this one world, which I'm sure you both have come across that. It's like the one kid in class, you're like, why don't you just stop? You're like, what is wrong with your mental world? Like, why are you just so stuck on this one thing? Or you have people that you're like, if you just actually tried hard, you would be so good at things.
Mm.
But they're like, it's not like they're actually being humorous, they're being lazily
The difference between being
disassociated.
detached and disassociated.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Detached is driving down the road, not knowing exactly where this road leads, but it's a nice summer evening and the sun's getting low and this is a pretty road. Let's keep driving.
Hmm.
Disassociated is I can't take my hands off the wheel.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Can we interview after your show?
Yeah.
Oh
I want
yeah.
to see how it goes.
That'd
I
be
think we're
great.
planning on being down there. I think, what are we?
Are you?
I mean, I'm planning on it, I think, but then Landon fights June 6th in Rock Springs.
Hmm.
So I think we got to do the triangle, the Lander to Denver to Rock Springs, because we got to support Landon. He's doing his first MMA fight. Kid from Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, whoa, that's cool,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah.
So
Wait, what is that?
June 6th.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I performed June 6th and June 7th. Otherwise, I totally would just pop up from
Oh,
Denver to check him out because that would be
good.
support him.
We are out of time.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Maddie, thank you so much for coming on again.
This is cool.
Yeah, we should
Love
plan
it.
on yeah, sometime in June after you've done it.
Dude, here's an idea. If you're both going to be down there, what if you do one of those Instagram interview things where, like, if you both come to the show, just grab me after the show and just do it on your phone and just do a couple, like, just rapid fire questions
Some
or
hot
something like
takes
that. Yeah. Hot takes. You're like, I could
in the green
interview
room.
you two
Yep.
and be like, what did you guys think of the show? Like, get your just like immediate impressions, and then you can. So it wouldn't be super long, but I think that would be
A
a
good clip.
different, a fun way to do it. Like Green Dragon on the go,
I like that. Yeah.
because that could be really fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you in Denver.
I just see. Hope to see you there and all the listeners. Super fun
Perfect. June 6th and 7th.
at the People's Building in Denver, and the performance will be at 5 p.m. and tickets are at
Both nights.
fringe.org. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Sweet. Thank
Okay.
you.
Very good. Good to have you.
Oh, and people
Oh.
find you at Peculiar Theater Group?
Yes, the theater group is Peculiar Theater Group on Instagram.
Okay.
And we also have a website.
Oh.
So peculiartheatergroup.com.
Sweet.
Rock on.
Thank
Sweet.
you, Maddie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie.
That was fun.